7. Here we go again. It says, if the shoe fits, then I wear it. Okay, so if then is the arrow. And then we're going to let the shoe fits is going to be my P. And I wear it will be my Q. So if P, then Q. And then this says I wear it. So that's the Q. And then you got the line that separates the premises from the conclusion. And the conclusion says the shoe fits. So that's a P. So that's what I'm looking for. And I go back to this. Let me erase that. And then move this over a little bit so we can find one that matches that. Where is it? If P, then Q. Make this smaller. There we go. If P, then Q. All right, there it is. It is this one. The fallacy of the converse. If P, then Q, and a Q, therefore a P. So that's the fallacy of the converse. It falls underneath one of the invalid arguments. So, oh, need a pen. Fallacy of the converse, and no, it is not valid. It's one of the invalid ones. All right, what is next? Okay. All right, so on this one, it says determine whether the following form represents a valid argument. There is not one that matches this on that sheet. So we're going to have to do our own truth table. So on my next slide, I recopied that. And then we are going to start with a bracket. And then our first premise is just the P. But you have to connect that with the next one with an and. And because the next one is all of this, it will have to go in parentheses. And then we're going to be negating, so negate the letter Q. And then they have an and here, this and boop. P again, and P is purple. And then I am going to close the parenthesis and close the bracket. Now, the line that separates right here, that is another if then. That line right there is an if then. Maybe I should do that in a different color or highlight it. I'll just highlight it in yellow. Yeah, that didn't work really well, did it? Yellow. That's this right here, the if then. And then it ends with a Q, and KU was in this neon blue color. And that's Q. And that's my truth table. Okay. Well, that's not my truth table. That's my setup for my truth table. So here we go. Remember, we have P and Q, and it is true and true, true and false, false and true, false and false. So there's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. And then the P gets its own column, the and gets its own column, the negation of Q, this and, that P, the if then, and the Q. And then I look for anything I can copy, which I have 2 P's that I can copy. This P, so true, true, false, false. And then this P is a true, true, false, false. And then Q is true, false, true, false. Okay, so now step number 1 is going to be inside the parentheses, and it's going to be this one right here. To get this column, I have to negate Q, and Q is right here. So changing TFTF to its negation would be FT, FT. And now, I guess I'll do this one in the lime green. Step number 2 is going to be this and right here. And so to do an and, it's going to come between the stuff on the left and the stuff on the right, on either side of the and. And remember, on an and, the only time it's true is when you have 2 trues, and I do. I have true and true there. Everything else is going to be a false. Okay, and now I'm still inside my brackets, so now my next step is going to be, how about bright red? Nah, it looks too much like orange. How about that color? It's going to be step 3 right here. We're going to do this and to get this one, you're going to have to go between what's to the left of it, and all there is column P, and then to the right of it, you have to look at the last column you just did, which was this one, the and. And then remember, an and's the only time you have a true is when there's 2 T's, and that's in the middle. So I'm looking at true and false is false. True and true is true. False and false is false. False and false is false. And now there's only one thing left to do, and that is this last column here, and this will determine if it is valid or not. Whatever this this has to be all T's in order for me to say that it's valid. Okay, so this is step 4. Now, to get this one, you have to, your if is going to be the last thing you did over here inside these brackets. And the last step I did over there was step 3. And then the only thing I have over here is all of this. Now this is an if-then, and remember, on if-thens, the only time you get a false is when it's if true, then false. And that is the second one. This one right here, if true, then false, that's false. Everything else would be true. So it's not a tautology, which means it is not valid. And if I go back here, choose the correct answer. The form represents a, this one says a valid argument. Nope, that's not that one. Come on, April. There we go. It's not that one. Let's see. Here's another one, says a valid argument. Okay, those two are out for sure. Okay. B says the form represents an invalid argument because a truth table shows that the conclusion is sometimes false when all the premises are true. D says the form represents an invalid argument because a truth table shows that the conclusion is always true when all the premises are true. And E says the form represents an invalid argument because a truth table shows that the conclusion can be true when some of the premises are false. That would have to be B. It shows that the conclusion is sometimes false even when all the premises are true.